Welcome to the Truth Wins podcast. This is episode 75, titled Helping Victims of Sexual Exploitation. As always, this is Todd Sherman, your host. I have with me across the table one Stu Richer. Say hey, Stu.
Hey, Stu.
And we are going to jump right into your favorite part of our episodes now, called Time to Stump Stu. All right, so this one is from our episodes on abortion. And Ken said, it's only before birth, protect the fetus, toss the child. Hypocrites can't even see the lunacy or the irony.
Okay. I'm not sure if I understand completely what Ken's saying there. Is he saying, when he says hypocrites, who is he referring to?
I'm assuming since we are against abortion, he's saying then once they're born, we don't care. Like we kick all these poor kids who were born into a bad situation. We don't take care of them there. So it's like before birth, protect the fetus, but then toss the child. It's like, okay, as long as they get born, we don't care.
All right. I see what you're saying. So he's saying that people in the Christian faith don't care about the child that's delivered.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
I would say, Ken, and this is speaking personally, since I took a child that was going to be aborted and raised him as my son, my wife and I did, that I could speak to that we didn't do that. And that's not the way the Christian faith works. The Christian faith values each individual human life because it says in Genesis that God created all human beings in his image. So every human life has value from the Christian viewpoint. Now, other viewpoints, secular humanism and materialism, doesn't make the child have that worth. So I don't see how this would be a problem for Christians. So yeah, that would be my short answer.
Would you call this a false dichotomy? Is that what you say in speech and debate?
Yeah, when you set up things that aren't,
it's like you can't be pro-life and also take care of it, which isn't true. You can do both.
Right.
Cool. Good job. This was Time to Stump Stu. All right. We're excited because today we have a guest with us, and her name is Jessie Burge. And Jessie is a Colorado native, raised in a Christian home, but she's going to share her story in a bit. Really became her own faith in 1995. She served in many ministries like MOPS, Bible Study Fellowship, Women of the Harvest. But as a result of serving with Standing Against Trafficking, talking about sex trafficking, and Servants of Christ International, the Lord led her to develop Refined. Would you call it a ministry? Refined Ministry?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Refined Ministry in 2015. She's been married for 23 years, has 3 adult children, one serving in full-time ministry and 2 in the military, has 1 daughter-in-law and a 6-month-old grandson that she smiles every time we mention that she has a grandson. So welcome to the show, Jessie.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you both.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your story and what you do on the front lines of sexual exploitation. So let's go back a little bit. What led you to this place where you're sitting with us today talking about this topic?
Yeah, I was grown up in a hair salon and hairstylist for 20 years. Both parents were salon owners, and I was building my own American dream, and my goal and hope was to take over my family salon someday. But the Lord kept pressing in to, and just the reality that was not what he had for my future. I started opening my eyes. God started opening my eyes to the church and the role that they play with the hurting and the broken, the disenfranchised. And what he was showing me was that they do a good job opening their doors to these individuals, but they don't do a good job at opening their arms to them. And our church, as you stated, has meetings called Standing Against Trafficking, and I started attending, learning about the statistics and just the demographics of
when was that?
Trafficking. That was about 2014.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and realized it's not something that's happening in another country. It's actually happening in our state, my city, and my backyard.
Yeah. Which is Colorado. If haven't been listening to us very much, we're here in Denver metro area. So in the suburbs of Denver, you decided to go to this class at church, you're saying? And was that real eye-opening experience for you where you're like, whoa, I had no idea?
Yeah, it's not a class. It's a monthly meeting that's open to the public to just come and learn about the problem of human trafficking. And they have different guests every month who are combating this problem, and they share about what they're doing, and people can just come and learn. And what I learned, I had to do something. I couldn't just stand to the side and ignore the problem.
Yeah. So that was 2014, and did you decide to go to that meeting just because God had been impressing on your heart that particular topic, or did you just one Sunday they talked about, I'm going to go check it out?
No, it really stemmed from Bible Study Fellowship, them teaching, like the goal was to take what we had learned and take it into your community, do something with your biblical knowledge. And so I was asking God, where next? Where am I serving next? And so I knew it was going to be with the broken and the hurting, the homeless. I'd gone with God Behind Bars to Denver Women's Correctional Facility and did church with the incarcerated women for a period of time. And finally, we had a gal speak, and I went up to her. I said, Wendy, I've got to do something, but all I know how to do is hair. Could these girls use a haircut? And she said, yeah, that's an immediate, tangible need. And that's where Refine started.
Wow. As an aside, maybe this isn't an aside, maybe this is one of the main nuggets of this, is a lot of people go to church, hear a sermon, God stirs their heart. They're in the car, see somebody on the street, and they're like, man, I should do something about it. But then we quickly push that to the side. Or we disqualify ourselves before we even start moving down that path, and where I'm sure you disqualified yourself several times, but it sounds like God kept bringing it back in front of you, and you're like, all right, God, I've got to do something. Is that true? Is that accurate?
Very accurate. I thought if I'm going to work with this demographics, I need to be a counselor, or I need to be a social worker or a cop. I'd love to be a cop. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Taser somebody would be fun.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, it's on my bucket list. So.
That kind of scares me about you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little worrisome.
Well, next time you go to the women's correctional facility, if they allow guests to come with you, and if I can carry a taser, then I think
I can do better than that.
What?
I've got an org I can introduce you to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Taser.org? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's called Able Shepherd.
And they tase people?
No, It's an active shooter response training program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be tased myself. I want to tase somebody else. Because I have a brother-in-law who's a cop, and he got tased, and he says, yeah, don't do it.
No,
don't do it.
They do awesome simulation rooms that kind of give you that real live feel. But
yeah.
Anyhow.
I was going to say, Jesse, one of the things that you just said there really corresponded to something in my life. Bible Study Fellowship, that was a big impact on me as an early Christian. Mm-hmm. And it was a big impact on my wife and growing her faith. Mm-hmm. And that I would just recommend to anybody who's looking for something to do, because it's not affiliated with a specific denomination or church, but it's an amazing Bible study that was put together by Audrey Wetherill Johnson, this lady who used to be a missionary in China and thought the Lord was through with her. And it's kind of like you. She found something that I need you right here. Yeah,
and because it's an interdenominational study, and having grown up in the church, and sadly having a lot of legalistic aspects in my faith background, BSF was monumental in helping me know how to embrace all denominations of people, because a lot of people believe in Jesus Christ. Not all believe in him as their savior, but knowing how to engage with love and grace, I learned those foundations at Bible Study Fellowship. Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't want to belabor this point, but so many people can take a class, and that's safe because you're in a classroom, it's all cerebral, right? But when it goes to your heart and it impacts you, it's scary to act upon or to be obedient to that. If God's calling you, and it's like Isaiah, right? It's like, all right, Lord, send me, I'll go. And so you did that. And I'm sure in your story, there was probably some dragging of feet days, but other days we were like, all right, I'm all in. But I just want to encourage people like Stu, you're a teacher and you're still subbing even though you're retired. And so you're a mole in the place where they're trying to indoctrinate kids away from any kind of spiritual compass or truth, and yet you're able to bring the Christian worldview there. And so whatever your situation is in life, whether retired or in your 20s or teenager, whatever, God, if you're just obedient, he's going to open doors for you if you're willing to say, okay, Lord, send me. And that's what you did. And so you started from going to that class, then you started serving in these ministries that dealt specifically with trafficking, or at least one of them did?
Yeah, so I started with a program called Streets Hope. At that time, Streets Hope was a stabilization home for women coming out of not just trafficking, but I realized prostitution and incarceration, homelessness, addictions, and where I originally wanted to serve individuals who were being sex trafficked. What led us to serving women of sexual exploitation is that it encompasses all of that. And there really is a crossover that can happen with this demographics. Everybody's story is unique and different. Some of them, it might start with rape or molestation or pornography. Like there's such a wide variety of things that really you need to embrace it all. And so Streets Hope, I started going into the home and just setting up shop as a hairstylist in the kitchen, doing hair for the women about as often as they would go into a salon to get their hair done.